This video brought to you by our Patreons. Please consider supporting this channel and joining our Patreons at patreon.com/NovaWing24. Hi there folks, my name is NovaWing24 and welcome to another little review of a prepared product. So today we're having a look at the, well, it's not really new, it's more of a reboot, but it's new to the sales platform, if that makes sense, or maybe it will in a moment. So we are here today having a look at the MilViz McDonnell Douglas 530F helicopter, but we're looking at the latest PBR release. So just to sort of put that in a bit of perspective here, this actual model has been out from MilViz for, I'm going to say, around about 6 years or so, 5-6 years. It's definitely been out a while, but they recently rebooted it and brought it in, brought it over into the Prepared3D4 world by giving it a lick of paint and giving it updating its textures to now support PBR. And also included as part of the their now cross promotion, their sort of cross selling over on the Orbx Direct platform. So we're basically going to be having a look at this one, taking this for a spin and seeing what it's like now that it's moved into the Prepared3D4 world. So so first of all, I want to say thank you very much to MilViz and Orbx for providing me with the review copy of this aircraft today. And we're going to be doing a bit of a flight here today. We're going to be flying from Reading Municipal here around the town of Reading and then on to Benton as part of our flight plan today, all part of the Reading Municipal Airport pack from Orbx. Right, now that we've got that out of the way, what is this aircraft? So this is it's a really ubiquitous sort of helicopter, very much a sort of a common sight between a lot of cities around the world. And I feel, and it's also very common in a lot of movies as well, because they're very popular for a couple of reasons, including the fact that they are very, they're very efficient. So they're very small, they're very lightweight, they're very efficient, they're very forgiving to fly as well. So they're quite popular with helicopter flight schools. They're sort of starting out there. As I said, they're very forgiving airframe. But what's a little interesting about them as well is the fact that, and this did perplex me a bit when I first climbed on board this aircraft when I first installed it, was the fact that unlike most helicopters, they are flown from the left-hand seat. So now a lot of people may say, well, but that's where you normally fly an aeroplane from, and you're absolutely right, it is when it's a fixed-wing aircraft, but helicopters are traditionally always flown from the right-hand seat. Now that goes back to when the sort of helicopter was sort of first pioneered by Igor Sikorsky, and how the collective was controlled, and how it sort of required, sort of most of your strength to be able to pull it, and then to be able to sort of control that, and to go to control the airframe. There was a reason why you were in the right hand seat. But this aircraft, as I said, is an interesting one because it is actually optimized to be and designed to be flown from either the left or the right, but primarily from the left hand seat. And that's where all the avionics and airframe and everything has been designed for this one. So otherwise, as I said, it's like a pretty faithful 3D model has been replicated here. Going to go through into a bit, as I said, for me, this is brand new. So for me, I'm sort of looking at the perspective of I'm a new pilot, I was a relatively new helicopter pilot, still being given some, being pushed into the ways of frantic palm trees by Sergio from Helisimmer. So it's been an interesting sort of time to actually sort of climb on board this aircraft and actually enjoy it. So the 3D model, as I said, it's a highly detailed rendition 3D model, this one. Now you do get a couple of versions. Well, you actually only get the one version of the airframe, but you do get a couple of additional things as well. Now that's all controlled through the MilViz Aircraft Manager, where you can actually sort of add and remove various different parts of the airframe, including the wire cutters and the cargo. So wire cutters top and bottom, the cargo hook. So currently this particular aircraft is set up showing the wire cutters both at the top of the canopy and below the canopy, and also a cargo hook as well. Not that they are actually useful, but they are just they're just there as decorative features. It does have a couple of other different visual add-ons you can put on there as well, including a FLIR system, so a forward-looking infrared. There's also they call them sort of pods, but basically they're a representation of the gun pods that the militarized version of the 530 can be outfitted with. It also has pontoons that that are sort of floats that can be attached to the skids. as well as a night sun spotlight can be attached to the aircraft as well. Now, a couple of interesting things about that is that, as I said, they are cosmetic only, except the night sun. The night sun, when you turn your landing light on, it will also turn the night sun on as well. So, there's that one, but otherwise the FLIR and everything else just seems to be cosmetic only. Supposedly, the pontoons is actually supposed to be functional. They're supposed to be auto-deploy once you land in water. However, and that I'll probably just jump to it, and that is actually one of the things that I said, looked at and went, yeah, no, it doesn't work. The pontoons do not work when you land in water. They just sit there and look at you. So, yeah, that one does not work as advertised. So, anyway. Alright, so on to the actual aircraft and the helicopter, or the aircraft and the helicopter, aircraft and helicopter, kind of one and the same thing here. So have a look at that one and we'll explore the airframe, go for a bit of flight today. But first off, as I said, we've got a bit of beautiful sort of reflection going on here on the PBR material. So PBR material has been used throughout the airframe for this reboot and moving into Prepar3D4. Just open up the door while I just sort of scoot around the other side there. You got a range of liveries get included with this aircraft, which is kind of cool. The only issue I seem to have with the textures at the moment, and it's consistent across all of the models, is that for some reason the right stabilizer, the stabilizer here, this texture never seems to actually show in the sim. I'm not sure why. I don't know, because I can see it on the texture map, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but it's just something that I've noticed whenever I load into the sim, that that particular texture always shows up as blank. Don't know why. So there you go. Hopefully not an issue, but that's my experience of this one. So anyway, well, other than that, enough of going through this the externals. Let's have a look at the into the office, and let's get ourselves underway. Alright, so here we are in the office of the 530F, and it is a fairly Spartan, fairly clean office. As I said, it's a very basic helicopter, which is really great, especially for somebody like myself who's actually sort of still learning to fly helicopters. And as I said before, the airframe itself is quite liked by its pilots because it is a very forgiving airframe. It may be a very simple design, very simple basic design, but it's a very forgiving airframe at the same time as well. So makes it perfect for someone like myself who's actually sort of building up their rotary wing hours. So I'll just quickly close our door. So in terms of animations, so all 4 of the doors in the aircraft are animated. In fact, in the aircraft manager, you can actually remove the rear doors as well. So that is an option that you can do for all the aircraft. One of the other cool things as well that I do like, that I do want to point out, is that the aircraft manager that MilViz use allows you to actually preset whether you want to have the aircraft ready to fly or whether you want to have it cold and dark. So I've set it to be cold and dark. So we're going to go through the full startup procedure very, very shortly, which is modeled pretty damn accurately from what I can tell. It definitely follows by the book and procedure. So very happy with the way that's actually been set up, and I can replicate how you actually fly it. Couple of things as well that I do like about the animation here. So just again, it's just one of those things that you can actually see here. One of the things I notice is that once you start moving the sort of controls, I do notice that the image of the wire cutters tends to have a bit of a freak out every now and again, and also it doesn't carry across the texture from the externals. It's obviously a different texture map that's used on the internal one. So I'd be a bit more forgiving of that if it's a third-party livery, but as it's a manufacturer, like a developer supplied livery, I was kind of expecting that to be correct, but minor detail. The other thing as well, it was just sort of moving the collective here. You can actually sort of see all the animations that actually move. So that's actually a really cool thing to show off that attention to detail that's come through there. So I'm really impressed by that bit, I can tell you that much. Right, okay, I think that's pretty much a bit, as I said, it's a bit basic. As I said, probably the only other sort of bugbear that I've got with this one is the way the GNS 530 has actually been integrated in the cockpit. It's very distinctly it just looks like it doesn't belong. Like the 430 seems to look like it belongs perfectly fine. And even the 330 unit down here as well. So the 530 unit down here, sorry, the 330 unit down here look like they belong, but for some reason, the 530, just the textures they've used or the way they've modeled it in here, it just looks like it doesn't belong. I don't know, it's just small thing. It just throws me a little bit. So anyway, small thing. Anyway. Right, okay, I think that's probably enough of me waffling right now, so let's get ourselves started and underway, so we'll go through the full startup sequence. Hopefully I will, I've been practicing this, so hopefully we'll get this run right. So the first thing to do is that we need to turn the key on, we need to put the fuel in. Alright, so we're going to battery on, pumps on. Okay, now I'm going to use the collective in the center here, just simply it's easier for me to monitor everything. So we've got a start switch here. 15 seconds. Nope, I don't think I held it in long enough. Okay. So fortunately we should be able to simply repress, relight it. Yep, okay. We caught. It's rising. Alright, looking good. That was a bit nerve-wracking there. As I said, it's funny actually, and they do actually put in the manual that you can actually sort of make a pig's breakfast of that very quickly, very easily, and it affects real-world pilots. So I do appreciate that, and that's really cool there. Okay, so let's get all our content on here. All right. Okay, there we go. So as I said, I did manage to make a pig's breakfast of that in the filming, but it just goes to prove that, as I said, it's well modeled, good accurately, and I think accurately done. Alright, enough of that tomfoolery. Now let's see if I can make a fool of myself with my helicopter flying skills. So we're going to take off here from Reading. We're going to go hit Reading Municipal, go a bit of a tour, head up to the town. We might see if we can land, if we can find the hospital to land on before we go on to our final destination. Now, I do have some interesting weather here at the moment, so this should be an interesting takeoff. We've got a 15 knot crosswind at the moment, so let's see how this one goes. Alright. Active in. As I said, it's one of the things that I do like about this helicopter is that it is very easy, or like it does feel very natural and very fairly docile. So it is fairly forgiving on its inputs as you go around. Now we've got our airspeed up into the wind. So I'm used to sort of focusing more on the right turns for helicopters because of the fact you're normally sitting in the right hand seats. This is a little different. There you go. Now there's no autopilot in this helicopter. As I said, it's a very basic helicopter. So she's designed, as I said before, for being cheap and being efficient, efficient and effective. Careful when we're watching that bit of a tailwind now as we're flying along here. Part of course, being that simple design, though, is that there's no sort of the modern sort of benefits of things like FADEC or anything like that on the engines. So you do have to monitor your actual EGTs and your performance, make sure you don't do anything crazy like overspeed or flame out, which I have done in couple of my practice flights when I haven't paid attention to what the engine's been doing. So as we fly along here, it gives a chance to actually sort of have a look at the outside of the airframe as we're flying. Definitely sort of see that new texturing sort of definitely being done, that effectiveness of the PBR as part of the P3Dv4 sort of update there, which is always nice to see. Alright, back in the office, and we'll see if we can find out. I believe there's a hospital that's mauled around here somewhere with a helipad, so we'll see if we can find it just near this other airstrip. I wonder if that's it. Yep, that'd be it, and there's the helipad. Alright, let's see if we can come in for a landing on that helipad there. See if we can bleed off some airspeed. We're going to make sure that we turn into the wind as well. Now remember, folks, that I'm not a particularly skilled helicopter pilot, so this is possibly also a testament to how forgiving the airframe is for novice helicopter pilots. Alright. Here. There we go. Oop, might be a bit rough, but I think we got there. Yeah, definitely in the boundary. There you go. Wasn't too bad. Not that we had a patient on board, but it was good to actually be able to get down like that. Alright, and again, that's what I really like about this, is the fact that this helicopter actually, just like the real helicopter, is actually a good one for budding helicopter pilots who are looking for a new airframe to try and get familiar with, and to actually start developing their helicopter skills. Alright, now that we've done our landing here at the hospital, let's take off and head on to Benton to finish our little flight today, and then we'll go through a couple of things. I'll get through a couple of things as we do the flight over there at the moment. Alright, into the wind. So probably the couple of bugbears that I do have about this, I've sort of partially mentioned something before, and again, it might just be my install, I don't know, but I mean, the fact is that it does describe in the description of it that the pontoons do work, and also that the night sun is capable of being controlled by keyboard commands. Now, the pontoons, in my experience, I found did not activate when I landed on water, which, you know, they're supposed to do, so that's fine. And then the night sun, although it does turn on when you turn on with your landing light, it doesn't actually, it's not controllable. And I thought it would, okay, maybe it's just not something, it's just something obvious that I'm missing. So I went to look at the manual, and because, you know, that's what you do. You go, you know, it's one of the things that we're often saying to people is, you know, RTFM. So I go in and I have a look at the menu, have a look at the manual, and have a look at it and go, okay, well, you know, do as I say, not as I do, and actually sort of go through and actually sort of read the manual and see what the manual says. And unfortunately, the manual dates this, and that's my other issue that I sort of have with this aircraft, is the fact that, and I might just disturb my train of thought here while I try and land on the helipad here. Again, a bit of helicopter training here. Aha! Not quite in the circle, but near enough. Yeah, so I had a look at the manual, and the manual is where I started having some pretty serious issues with it. Let's go through the shutdown procedure, and then I'll finish off that thing. Because as I said, I don't have a lot of bugwares with it, but most of them are actually contained inside the manual. Alright, so we're on the ground, so first thing we're going to do is now we get shutdown procedure, so fuel cutoff. Alright, shut down electronics. Anti-ice systems off. Lights off. Generator off. Pump off. Anti-coals off. Battery is off. And key to off. And swing down. Torque dropping. And road brake. There we go. Okay. And open the door. Right, so as I was saying, so I looked in the manual and thought, okay, well, you know, I'll do what I always say to everybody else, and I'll go on RTFM and have a look and say, okay, let's have a look at how do I get the night sun working and that kind of stuff. And the manual, first off, the manual dates this add-on. And this is where I say there are a couple of things where this is, although yes, it's great that the texture has been updated to support PBR. Unfortunately, it also shows off the laziness of MilViz in bringing this product across. So the manual is still the exact version, it's the FSX manual. Not even updated to include prepared 1, 2, or 3, let alone prepared V4 with the PBR update. It's literally still talks about FSX and how it supports DX9 and DX10. The shots, the screenshots that it shows, and when it talks about the aircraft configuration manager, are still the original MilViz aircraft configuration manager, not the one that they use now. And it's like, okay, well, okay, I get that the functionality hasn't changed, so kind of forgivable, but then the manual doesn't include anything about the actual aircraft. Literally, what they did is they took a actual 530F's flight operations manual and gave it to you, and they added half dozen pages at the front saying, yeah, this is an add-on, but we've got it as close as we can, and good luck. And I mean, okay, yeah, they did put a quick start, you know, quick set of instructions on how to follow, so you didn't have to look up the steps for starting the engine in the manual. The steps are there. but it doesn't give you any information about how to control the night sun, if it is, or any information about the pontoons and stuff like that. And it's like, guys, come on, if you're going to make that a feature, great, that's awesome that you put that in there, then put it in the manual. Like, that's literally what a manual is for. So I was a little bit disappointed by that. And then going into it a bit further, I sort of went, okay, so if I don't have the PDF documentation open, I should be able to bring up the kneeboard inside the sim and be able to bring that up. And it's like, okay, cool, that's great, that's fine. Especially considering that, you know, in the sim objects rotorcraft 530F folder, there's a kneeboards folder. Cool, no worries, that's awesome. Two problems with that. First off, that the aircraft.cfg file doesn't call the correct path for the kneeboard, so the kneeboard won't load. It's just blank when you load it up in the sim. In fact, I will do that for you guys right now so you can see what I'm talking about there. So we'll go vehicle, kneeboard, checklist, and there you go. It is blank. Nothing. Absolutely nothing there. So that was disappointing. And then when I saw, well, okay, well, that's fine. It's just a HTML file. I'll just manually put it in myself. And then I looked at it, and the checklist isn't a checklist for the 530. It's a checklist for the Bell 206. And I'm like, that's lazy. Has that been like that since the original release of this product? Or is that just an oversight unique to the Prepar3D4 version? I don't know. So it sort of was a little bit of a, and that's the thing, is that I don't want to detract. I almost hate to detract from the fact that this helicopter is a bucket of fun to fly. Like, it's seriously, it's awesome. I'm having so much fun with it because I'm someone who's not a huge fan of helicopters. Like, I don't mind them, but frantic palm trees have never been my never been my affirmation, or never my sort of drawn to that much. I've never been drawn to them that much. So I've been having a bucket ton of fun flying that. And because it is a forgiving airframe, and because it is suitable for someone like myself who's still working up their helicopter skills, it's great. So it was a bit of a disappointment, and it was a bit of a sort of, you know, a bitter, you know, as a sort of bittersweet sort of thing. We're just going, it's just a shame that it's just these little things on the edges that just seem to let it down a little bit. So now, in terms of the release for this, there's a bit of ambiguity on this one. As I said, I'm a new user to this one, so when you purchase this via the Orbx Direct store, you get the 530F suitable for Prepar3D4. You also get a non-PBR version which you can install into Prepar3D4, which I think you could manually lift out and put into Prepar3D3 or FSX if you had it. Not quite sure. But the frustrating thing seems to be is that this PBR version is apparently a paid update for anyone who owned the original 530F for the 32-bit version. I can't qualitatively say if any of the avionics have changed from 32-bit to 64-bit. I don't think they have, because it seems to all be stock default stuff or just the standard 530. And really it's just the texture changes with the support of PBR materials. So in terms of whether I would recommend this or not, despite its couple of bugs that I've pointed out, I still think that this is a great product to buy if you don't already have it. If you're looking at getting a helicopter to sort of, you know, continue to grow your skills and get yourself a bit more of a sort of a, like, level up kind of thing, to sort of get a bit of a next step and as you level up your helicopter skills, this is probably a really great airframe for you to pick up, and I think I would highly recommend it. However, if you're an existing owner of the 530 and we're looking at thinking this was going to upgrade you, maybe fix some issues and give you some new experience, it's not worth the upgrade to get the PBR textures. Straight up, just not worth it. So, mixed review there. As I said, new user, if you've never had it before, and you want to have a bit of fun with a helicopter, I think this is I will highly recommend this one. If you were a previous owner of it, or if you are experienced with helicopters, you may want to think twice about picking this one up. Or as I said, if you're an existing owner, if you're just looking to get the PBR textures, honestly, skip it. Just straight up, just skip it. So there you go. All right, that's my comprehensive review. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget, as always, to I do want to say thank you very much to the team over at MilViz and Orbx for supplying the review copy of this aircraft today. And hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget, as always, to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying these videos and want to see more. And of course, as always, you can catch up with me and all the things I'm up to between videos by finding me on Facebook and on Twitter. Just search NovaWing24. All right, folks, thanks very much for watching. Take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.